book. I said I finished it, but then I ended up adding about 4 more sections in the book. So now I am officially done. I wanted to add in how a Gemini or ENTJ parents, like what is their parenting style, and then also how to parent according to their cognitive functions and their age. So yeah, I just kind of want to get into that just for 1 second. The ego, I am focusing on the ego. This is called Astro-Psychology, so I am tying in many different systems together, Eastern and Western philosophies, as well as the 4 sides of the mind psychologically. So the MBTI, most people are familiar with that. And then in my everyday language, I pretty much use the zodiac signs because it's a little bit easier to talk to people in person about the zodiac signs. We're all kind of aware of, you know, what month we were born, the date, and where we fall that way. It seems like people in my personal life are not savvy to the MBTI letters. So yeah, either way, I am combining astrology with psychology, and there are 12 zodiac signs or archetypes, and there are 16 personality types according to the MBTI, but I only use 12, which line up with the 12 zodiac signs. So, anywho, today I'm going over the Gemini or ENTJ on my way to work, and then on my way home from work, I will, you know, do these little video series. Excuse me. So the Gemini or ENTJ is in their temperament, they are a structure type, or an NT, or intellectual. So they are an air sign. They are a mutable air sign, actually. So air represents thinking and communication. So they are mutable with everyone's thinking and communicating. They are considered the chief, and they are supposedly about 15% of the population, which I honestly, growing up, it's fun to dive into the zodiac signs and combining psychology with them to kind of look back on your own life to see who you naturally you know, gravitate towards, or who gravitates towards you, friendship wise, so, and romantic relationships. So I actually am friends with a lot of Geminis for some reason. I always attract air signs. I love them. I am a Pisces in my ego, and then I have an Aquarius Mercury, which I don't get into that here. But I am like not a full-blown, so to speak, Pisces. I have that Aquarius or INTJ slant, so that's kind of why I'm assuming that I tend to attract a whole bunch of air signs. So like my best friends in high school were Geminis and Libras, and that just seems to be the thing, and it's super awesome to look back on that. My grandfather is actually a Libra. So anyways, besides the point, the primary interaction style of the Gemini, so we're going into the temperament a little bit. They are abstract, pragmatic, and systematic. They are future thinkers, and they think in systems and probabilities. That is the pragmatic. They are not affiliative, so they tend to do first rather than asking. Okay, so what is temperament? What does that really mean? Temperament is a configuration of observable personality traits such as habits of communication, patterns of action, and sets of characteristic attitudes, values, and talents. So this is our ego. I am focusing on the ego within this series. And I understand that everyone acts and leads with different percentage levels on a spectrum, but I do want you to know that this is very observable, especially in a workplace situation. And romantic relationships do play out a lot different than just like a workplace or friendships, so do really seriously keep that in mind. Relationships can tend to bring out some of the best and worst in us as we get closer to the other person. So temperament also encompasses personal needs, the kinds of contributions that individuals make in the workplace, like I was saying, and the roles they play in society. Each temperament has its own unique qualities and shortcomings, strengths, and challenges. So I definitely observe this in the workplace. I literally live and breathe this stuff every single day. When I dive into something, I am all in. So I'm like constantly studying, writing my books, and thinking about this stuff in my everyday life. So everyone I work with, my family, my friends, I literally know everyone's zodiac sign. I will remember their zodiac sign before I remember someone's name. That's how awful or deep, whatever you want to call it, I have gotten into this. So I definitely see this playing out in the workplace. I work around these people every single day, and it's really fascinating to me to kind of know everyone's leading temperament. So yeah, Dr. David Kersey, I've gotten my work from him, C.S. Joseph, Dolo, shout out to him on YouTube. That's where I get a lot of my astrology from, and many other people. But Dr. David Kersey has identified humankind's 4 basic temperaments as the Artesians, which are the fire signs, astrologically, the guardians, or the earth signs, the idealists, or the water signs, and the rationalists, or the air signs, intellectuals. Okay, so breaking down the ENTJ temperament, their primary interaction style is direct, initiating, and control-based. They are a structured type, so Aries, let me think about this for a second. Aries, all the babies in the signs. So Aries is the baby of the fire signs, their structure. Gemini, obviously, of the air signs, and then you've got Cancer on the water signs, and then I've got someone calling me. And then on the earth signs, you have Taurus. So those are all structure types. Structure type, I've really come to realize that they like to, their initiative, and they just like to initiate when it comes to social interactions. Virgo is an exception there because they are very initiative. They can be with social interactions and ongoings, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because it's very fascinating to me. Anyways, Geminis, they are direct, initiating, and control types. They are considered a DICK, if you want to say it that way. They can be. They are, so the direct means they say what they mean, and they mean what they say. If they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. They're initiating, they're extroverted. They go to others to engage socially. And control means that they choose their role in social interactions. And then structure type, they're in charge, leading, and they do tend to organize, like I was saying. The intellectuals, which are the air signs, they are Gemini. They are abstract, pragmatic, and systematic. They are supposedly 15% of the population, which I really don't believe that because I know a heck of a lot more Geminis than pretty much any other sign. They are future thinkers. They think in systems and probabilities, and they live in a world of what if. So they can have a lot of like anxiety and things going on in their head. They do like to play mental gymnastics. I'm not a full-blown Pisces. I have my Mercury, so my thinking and communication in Aquarius. And so Aquarius is the eldest or the wisest of the air signs, depending on our consciousness, our upbringing, our continuous education, so on and so forth. But I can definitely see into Gemini's mental gymnastics. So they're just a whole different beast. All I'll say with the mental gymnastics that they tend to play with people, it reminds me, Gemini is like the twins. They're considered like they can be either Jekyll or Hyde, and they can do this in any moment. So like my emotional world, like if I'm emotional, everyone's gonna know it. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not. But with Geminis, they're not a feeler necessarily. They're a thinker. So it's like they can be mad at one person and then immediately turn around and act like everything's totally fine and jolly. And I can't personally do that, but they can. So it's like, there's pros and cons to everything. To me, that seems fake, but to them, it's just they can like compartmentalize the emotional world and treat people, pretty much however they treat people, not based on their feelings. I can kind of say it that way because they're thinkers, so it's like their interaction style is something else. It's fascinating to me. So anyways, their secondary interaction style, the first axis of distinction in language use is the abstract versus the concrete. So they are actually abstract, I am too. So abstraction is known to be attached to symbols, patterns, hidden meanings, what if this, and they are very open to possibilities. People using abstraction primarily are focused on like what if scenarios and have high introspection. When they are informative, they are implying things with ideas, concepts, and stuff like that. It's consistently asking questions to try to understand the meaning behind things. Abstraction sees reality or common sense as arbitrary. Abstraction with idealism comes from a more feeling point of view. Perception, abstraction is yin, while concrete is yang. So this is really interesting. I had been in a relationship with a Pisces male for, what is that? It's a groundhog. It's a baby groundhog. I just saved its life. Anywho, she's like out in the country here. So I was in a relationship with a Gemini for about 5 years recently. And I know many female Geminis. And what I have noticed I tend to get along, I'm a pretty masculine woman. So I kind of tend to get along with, obviously, masculine women. And when I say that, masculine women, they tend to be more about like the activities, what is going on, rather than the social bickering. I'm more about the activity, like let's go to the gym. I don't want to sit around and talk about everyone. That's just kind of how I am. So I do get along with Gemini females very well. But I've noticed that Gemini females, in my own personal experience, I'm not saying this is like an overarching truth, but they are pretty masculine, and the Gemini males, they tend to use the feminine or the female qualities, like the withholding of sex when they are mad in a relationship, or the emotional outbursts and trying to manipulate and control with emotions, like guilt tripping and shaming and, the typical woman thing that women tend to do when they're upset. It seems to me like male Geminis are, I'm just talking about this because of the yin and the yang. Abstraction is considered yin, and it's just something that I've noticed energetically and communication-wise, is that Gemini males really know how to utilize that yin or feminine quality a little bit more, I think, than women. It all just depends, but that's something that I did want to throw in here because it's very apparent to me now that I've been studying this for so long and have been in a personal romantic relationship with a male. And I'm not saying they're all the same, but it's really weird. I had lived on a road that had it was a Cancer and a Gemini together, the Gemini male. These relationships, all the men were Geminis, and we were all neighbors. Like, it was a Cancer and Gemini together, Pisces Gemini, a Scorpio Gemini, and Aries and Gemini, and this is all on the same road. And then Gemini and Capricorn woman. So all Geminis with different personality types. So it was very fascinating to me. And something that the women discussed was the emotional world of those Geminis that I had personal conversations. And all the, I'm just not exactly for sure. I can't put my finger on why Gemini males tend to be a little more feminine when it comes to the communication. I don't know. If someone wants to throw in a comment or argue the other way, let me know. Anyways, so the second axis is affiliative versus pragmatic. We are still in the temperament, and this is in the Gemini or ENTJ's actions. So they are very pragmatic. So I am abstract, but I am affiliative rather than pragmatic, and that's like something that, to me, as affiliative, it feels controlling, because pragmatic, I will get into like the definition, but I'm going on a side tangent here. It just felt very controlling, and it was more about how you do this project, or even cleaning. Like, everything that they do in their lives is pragmatic. So it's not, how do you feel about this? It's more of, this is how you do it, and if you don't do it this way, pretty much you're just doing it all wrong, and you are, like a bad person, pretty much, because they look at it like you're incompetent or something. So this can be when you're an affiliative person with a pragmatic person, do realize that is a clash, but you do need yin and yang and different personalities in order to make a whole, so keep that in mind. The pragmatic massively has to do with people's hierarchy of values, so that I'm talking about like extroverted feeling, introverted thinking versus introverted feeling and extroverted thinking axis. So supposedly there's 45% of the population is pragmatic and 55% of the population is affiliative. The intellectuals or air signs and the artisans and fire signs are pragmatic. So pragmatic, what is that? It is focused on what works, excellence and personal achievement, seeking outcomes, making decisions to reach those things faster. They are very independent people. They like to get things done on their own. They need their own freedom of actions regardless of rules or roles. And so they can be seen as selfish. They don't ask for permission. They ask for forgiveness afterwards. So they don't check in with their partners or whoever they are working with. They tend to just make their own decision about whatever is going on. It's all about efficiency and time and money. So people expressing pragmatic temperament tend to go after what they want in the most effective ways possible, and they choose tools that promise success with minimum cost and effort, whether or not they observe the social rules. Some people act primarily in a utilitarian or pragmatic manner. They do what gets results, what achieves their objective as effectively or efficiently as possible, and only afterward do they check to see if they are observing the rules or going through proper channels. And this can really come into clash when you are in a romantic relationship with somebody, especially financially, because they will tend to, they'll tend to perhaps ask you for your advice, and then they will just totally not take anyone's advice and go do what they want to go do anyway. So it's something that can be a little frustrating. So pragmatic rules require the individuals act in accordance with what they see needs to be done to get the desired result. They too may be people or task focused. They might be practical or idealistic. When a decision needs to be made or actions need to be taken, their first inclination is to act more independently regardless of norms or consensus. So like I said, they may ask hey, you know, what should I do? And then they're just totally going to do what they want to do anyways. Pragmatic is all about individuality and effectiveness of the individual. They're very independent. They need the freedom to do things and doing what one wants and needs, especially for themselves. It isn't about contributions to the group or getting others to agree with them, although that may seem like that. These people are more focused on self-determination, self-manifested destiny, what experiences I want to have, and what goals I want to achieve. It is all about excellence and achievement one attains. They seek outcomes and want to make decisions that cause them to reach those things faster. They're trying to be as autonomous as possible. Pragmatic people need the space and freedom to be able to take the initiative and to be able to get things done on their own, being who they are on their own. They want and need to be able to do these things regardless of their roles. Roles are arbitrary to them because they think they want to be rewarded for their excellence rather than their role. So within an organization, these people think that people should be promoted or hold positions due to merit or excellence and effectiveness rather than times. So excellence in performance is very important to them. In my experience, this can give like a pragmatic person, they get a very tunnel vision of quality. These people care about their work ethic tremendously. They get really uneasy when decisions are made for them. They feel like their personal independence or personal sovereignty is threatened. Those things are very primary for pragmatic people. So I'm almost to where I need to be, and that took a little longer than I thought it would. So these people don't like obstacles or things getting in their way. They can even see people, like affiliative people, as like a roadblock, slowing them down. They can see others as really just slowing them down. They're probably hard to ask for help sometimes. They see others as drama and they'll be bringing them down. The final or third axis concerns where people focus their attention, and this is structure or systematic versus motive or interest-based. So Geminis or ENTJs are systematic. On the one hand, people who focus on motive or interest are concerned with why people choose to act or what they have to gain, while people who focus on structure or systematic are more interested in rules and principles. The NTs are the intellectuals, the air signs, and the earth signs or the guardians are considered systematic. Systematic is the understanding of systems and of culture, has a method and expectation, knows what's at stake, knows the rules and processes. They can make great lawyers. They need structure in a situation with clear processes, rules, outlines, and norms, methodologies, and models. They care about the order of things. They cannot function in chaos like motive-based people, and therefore they bring organization. Systematic people think in terms of systems, frameworks, models, labels, and they focus on what is the order and how are things organized, sequenced, and how is everything put together. What pieces are missing. They need a way of doing things or methods. They're very methodical. They develop them to solve problems. They can create processes. Control types will implement them as well. They want to outline the rules, the social norms, professional norms even, and they dress up appropriately. They follow the scientific method, and they're trying to build things for others. They can get lost in all the details and miss the ultimate purpose. They can forget the purpose of the interaction to begin with. Systematic people can be too focused on the details and miss out on the purpose behind why people are doing things. People don't always apply to their own systems. So it's kind of like they are trying to figure out how things, the processes of things, if you know the rules of the game, then you can manipulate the rules. And that's kind of how they can function. It can be all about numbers rather than quality to a degree. they can be really quality based, but at the end of the day, if, you know, say that they are in charge of a project and they're trying to look good or whatever for their boss, they're going to cut corners and try to produce as much as possible, and that just, you know, chasing numbers rather than how is my team feeling today. I just want to look good. So that can be an issue with that kind of temperament.